Give yourselves a round of applause for supporting such a beautiful thing and a beautiful day. And let's give thanks to God for creating this day like this. We'd like to thank Brotherhood Bank and Trust for their sponsorship and the Downtown Chamber, Kansas City, Kansas, with Ed, and all the businesses here, shareholders, and then also the 7th Street Casino for sponsoring this event. Now, what we'd like to do is explain where we're started and where we're at. We have a guy that grew up right in the neighborhood here that always used to run people to Gracie's. He was like a runner. He'd find musicians that were blues musicians, and he'd get them to Gracie's. He went in quite a bit, but you'd always see him out in the van ready to haul, set up. He did a lot of work. And he had an idea one day. He walked by and found out that the property next to Gracie's was available. So he thought, how about a memorial garden with a slate in the ground and a bench and all this stuff so people could come and see some of the Kansas City blues artists that inspired and came through Kansas City. Then a lot of things developed. We found out that Cotton Candy hadn't had, and it was a memorial in memory of, memorial site. Then we found out that Cotton Candy hadn't had a headstone. We said we have to put a crown on the queen. And then we've had all kinds of things come up and together, and then we thought, and then he also thought of the 3 people that he was always influenced. There's a whole bunch. I can't just say the only 3. Then, so he came up with Mr. Blues Leon asked me if I would come set up a few little pieces of equipment and play. And then we realized he started getting a hold of everybody that was involved or influenced through these people. When he mentioned Mr. Blues, Bob Stone, and Cotton Candy, I knew I was in. Right now, the last gig that Leon and I used to play was at Finnegan's Pub on January 1st, 98. He passed away 3 weeks later. And there's a whole lot I can say about, that you'll find out about, but he was like my adopted dad. And there was a lot of good things that Leon passed on to people that he took under his wing. If he liked you, he loved you. About a week, I'd say about a month before he passed, he had brought over to my house his daughter, Rose Jackson. This is Rose Jackson right here, ladies and gentlemen, his daughter. He put us together in all kinds of situations that had nothing to do with what he knew was coming up. What ended up happening was we became family. The next thing I know, we spent 11 days from the wake to the ground with funeral arrangements planning this out. Leon was never in a hurry. He'd get you there on time, and he would always be on time, but he'd come in right on time. And he always said, in a minute. It took 11 days. He went to the wake, then we had a funeral, then we had to go to Leavenworth. In that process, right before that, C.D. Morris had a guitar built for him that he played at his last gig. It's a Mr. Blues guitar, so we want to give him credit. Rose was so kind to bring it over yesterday, for when I did my show, I got to play it. It had brand new strings on it that were 13 years old. Right now, I would like to bring up Mr. Joe Sherrick and Ed and Joseph and let them continue with the plaque.
Trying to figure out how I'm gonna say the rest of this. So then so Joseph got a hold of me and told me what he was wanting to plan, what he wanted to do. He says, do you think you could help me promote this? Do you think you could put this in the Blues News? I said, yeah, I said I would like to do that. And then he told me about Ed, that Ed was involved in this. So I said, well, let's have a meeting with Ed. Let's all get together, bring everything that you got with paperwork you have. Let me look it over, and we'll go from there. So we met, and after I got to look over the paperwork. Then we set this up as a non-profit organization, got everything rolling, and then Ed did the next important part. Ed, you can tell what you did.
One of the important parts was we had to have a few dollars to make some of this stuff happen, and that was, about 3 weeks ago. So as we began to work through this, Brotherhood Bank and 7th Street Casino came up to the stage and said, yeah, we want to make something happen down here. We want to bring back Big 11. We believe in Kansas City, Kansas, and we believe celebrating artists that come from Kansas City, Kansas. So just want to thank you all for coming out and being in Big 11 and bringing back something really healthy for our community. So I want to thank you for that.
Okay, what we have here is when we all learned about this, we had to scramble. We all ran in different directions, and we got together things. We had to find a picture to make sure we had this plaque put together. So what we've done is we've gone ahead and come up with a plaque. Each family will end up with a poster as well, and they are blues worn, ready to go. Okay, what we have here is a plaque which says, in memory of. It's Mr. Leon Estelle, Master Leon Estelle, Mr. Blues. And he had a tone of his own. We had to say something about each individual. He had a tone of his own. And his favorite phrase, when he'd hang up on the phone, he'd say, I'll see you tonight, all right? I said, yeah. Okay, goodbye. He goes, in a minute. He always left you with, in a minute. So, in memory of Master Leon Estelle, Mr. Blues, had a tone of his own, in a minute, in honor of Leon's contribution to the Kansas City music scene, Kansas Musicians and Entertainers Memorial Society would like to honor you with this plaque. And we have the roses. Would you like to say anything? You okay? Oh, no. Ladies and gentlemen, Rose Jackson, Mr. Blues' daughter. And his grandson, Leon, to Keon. Give it up for Keon.
You know, I only saw Leon Estelle one time for about 30 seconds. I was outside of H&M Barbecue. And in those days, things went on all night, like Glenn's song, I hear the dogs barking at the sun every morning. So I came in and it was daylight, and I going, well, who is that guy? And Glenn goes, well, that's Leon Estelle. So I never saw Leon play after that, but I have seen some recordings. I have seen some vintage video. Believe me, that man was the best guitar player I've ever seen in my whole life. He's all self-taught and respectful to him. Even Buddy Guy said he was better than him. Thank you.
All right. Then, while we were in the thank you very much, Joseph. When we were in the beginning stages of this, but didn't realize that Annetta Cotton Candy Washington still did not have a headstone after 5 years. Things have been done to raise one, and so for one reason or another, it never came to pass. But we were just putting in memory of the three people. Then we got all the information about the headstone. Well, you can't do in memory of without presenting a headstone too. If you're going to do a plaque, and we got this. So what we did is we already have the tombstone will be settled by the October issue of the Blues News. We've already taken care of, gotten a hold of everything we needed to know. The one thing we had to track down is who buried her. The Jazz Elder Statesman, she was a charter member, took care of that. We didn't know if the headstone had been purchased or not. We have got that all straightened out. It hadn't been purchased, but it is taken care of. We want to let you know. And Joseph says to get everything, all the information correct, it might be the November issue, but it will not be past that. Okay. So then, you got Cotton Candy. All I can say about Cotton Candy is, what a woman and what a lady. And what a mama she was to a lot of people. She would call in the morning. I did a lot of talking with her, but from everyone else, they used to say, you know, they called her mama. You play in her band on Saturday, you show up on church on Sunday with your instruments. It was something else. One of the good things I personally can say about her is when I played the last Sid's benefit with Bob Schnebel, he was feeling pretty good then, and he said, I'll play some guitar. I couldn't get to my drummer's house to get my amp. I already had another amp set up at the place. When I got there, I said, I'll just sing and let Bob play guitar. Cotton said, I'll make sure there's 2 guitar amps on stage. She had her guitar player hooked to the second one up. A lot of people know a lot of things about her. I am going to go ahead and present the plaque to people that were with her through thick and thin and to the end. They are part of the So Many Men, Cotton Candy and So Many Men. I will turn this over to Lightning Mike and Booger.
The proprietors of Trouser Mouse. Where are you at? I understand you're here in the crowd. Oh, okay.
Okay, what's going on is we have some people here that want to take care of something, and there's another person involved who's behind the scenes in this that got this all out on the internet news wire, Music Industry News Netwire. He has a personal thing with him, so I want to put the 2 people together. Like I said, there's so many people that's stepping up to help, it's unbelievable. But for right now, can I introduce So Many Men to say a few words, and we will hand off the plaque.
Thanks, Rock and Rick, and I want to just thank everybody involved behind the scenes that worked so diligently and so hard getting this together. I just want to say real in short that it was my extreme pleasure to play with Cotton Candy and So Many Men, and there's quite a few of them. There's about 30 of them roaming around somewhere, and just God bless.
Yeah, she had so many men she didn't know what to do with them all. So she'd kick one to the curb and say, next. With her good leg. That's true. Another saying of hers was the only thing she liked better than men was more men. And what I want to do is thank each and every one of you that are here. Thank each and every one of you behind the scenes. Each and every one of you that put this thing together. I mean, you know, it was spur of the moment. You name it, it was throw it together and we did it. And you know, just want to thank you from her and from so many men, all of them.
Lightning Mike and Michael Seaver, they call him Booger. Now Cotton Candy had a lot of influence, and one of the guys, like I mentioned, Glenn Patrick, on his latest CD, he wrote a song called Too Blessed to Be He has a song called Too Blessed to Be Depressed. That was her favorite line. You know, things would be, her toast got burnt, the bacon got burnt, the car got stolen, and she'd say, I'm still too blessed to be depressed. It's something else. Everybody here involved definitely made sure that this was handled as best we could. I do want to give a round of applause to Joseph, Joe Sherrick, and Ed for helping get plaques made and information and everything. I also want to give great pleasure to in one of the stars today, in memory of Miss Annetta Cotton Candy Washington. This plaque is to go to her band. It's in memory of Annetta Cotton Candy Washington, Queen of Kansas City Blues. too blessed to be depressed in honor of your contribution to the Kansas City music scene, Kansas Musicians and Entertainment Memorial Society. And if nothing else, I'm just proud to know you guys to be part of her family, and I know what she carried on. So, may God bless you.